The Lovely Bones is written by Alice Sebold and it's the first most sold debut novel since Gone with the Wind, with more than 1 million copies sold only in the first month. Sebold had decided to write this book after a personal incident. In fact, after being raped during college, she wrote a book completely based on her experience, called Lucky. Named after the assertion made by the policeman who took her statement and said she had been lucky as the girl who was raped before her was killed. Later, she wrote The Lovely Bones. The novel is not completely autobiographic. It is partially based on a personal experience, but not completely. Both the book and the movie speak about a 14 years old girl, Susie Salmon, who after being raped and murdered by a neighbor, watches all the things that happen in the hurt to her loved ones from her personal heaven. As it usually happens between the book and the movie, there are several differences that make the narration different, but in both cases very interesting and moving. The beginning is more or less identical, and it's very peculiar, as within the first pages of the book and the first scenes of the movie, Susie tells us about what happened to her, revealing the fact that she is dead.
My name is Salmon, like the fish. First name Susie. I was 14 years old when I was murdered on December 6, 1973.
After a longer introduction, the scene of Susie's murder also comes in the movie, with less details compared to the book. In the latter, the rape of the girl it is described in a very detailed manner, immediately making the reader empathize with the narration. During the movie, everything happens quicker, and instead of showing what happens, they just give us a hint, spreading anyway very strong sensations. Both in the book and in the movie, the murder takes place in a cornfield, inside an underground den created by the killer, who is a builder. It can be said that in some aspects the book goes further, facing themes which are not touched by the movie, such as homosexuality and racism. Following Susie's murder, in fact, the police investigation began anew on Ray, an Indian boy Susie was madly in love with and by whom was fully reciprocated, highlighting the fact that even after the police declared him innocent, people continue treating him with more suspicion than before because they consider him different due to his skin color. Life after Susie's death wasn't easy, not only for Ray but also for Ruth, another important character that represents the connection between Susie and the hurt, since Ruth can see the spirit of the dead. In addition to this gift, Ruth was homosexual, and for this combination of factors, she tends to isolate herself, not making any friends. The only person she managed to get close to was Ray. Racism is something all mass media are full. Hearing that a boy or a girl were beaten up because they come from a different nation or because they different beliefs or simply because they do not meet the standards of the society, it is not something new, but it is not making it right. The fear of something different prevents us from appreciating and understanding what people who do not think like us have to offer. In some ways, we should enhance integration with our culture and communities. We have to reach out and not be inward looking, because from isolationism we do not obtain anything. Susie is in a place she calls her personal heaven. In this place, she can see what's happening to her loved ones, but cannot intervene or participate in their lives. We can see how much the love for her family prevents her from moving on, and how happy and sad at the same time she is to see her brother and sister moving on with their lives and doing things that she will never be able to do again. The description of her heaven in the book is very precise. It is a happy place in which you can obtain anything if you understand the real reason why you want it. In the movie, it is accurate as well.
This place is not really one place, and also is not the other place.
It's of both.
In the book, once he murders her, Mr. Harvey, this is the name of the killer and Susie's neighbor, gets rid of the body immediately, dumping it in a sinkhole, while in the movie this happens in the final scene. The obsession of Jack, Susie's father, creates a big distance between him and his wife, who decide to go away from her family for 8 years. This obsession makes him follow Mr. Harvey one night to the crime scene, but things don't go as planned. He bumps into a young couple who get scared by his presence and beat him up with a baseball bat, sending him to the hospital. Unfortunately, things don't get better, and one day Lindsay decided to break in Mr. Harvey's home to find some evidence to incriminate him. She almost gets caught, but eventually managed to escape with some proofs. In the movie, Lindsay managed to find enough evidence to prove him guilty, and Mr. Harvey runs away before the police arrive to this place. In the book, she only finds a piece of paper with the drawings of the trap he used to kill Susie, but when facing the police, he gives a perfectly plausible explanation of the reason why he has them, and therefore he's released. Afterward, the police understand the huge mistake they've made, but it's too late and Mr. Harvey is already on the run. During the chain of events, but only at the end of the movie, it comes out that Susie is not Mr. Harvey's only victim. He has murdered several other little girls and teenagers in different ways. All the victims meet in the same limbo, and they share terrible experiences, and simply their presence are somehow comforting for each other. This is one of the most emotional scenes of the movie.
Say to me, let me unfold you. Here I am, waiting to hold you.
A loud and clear no to violence against women is one of the most important messages inside the Lovely Bones, and the reason why I've chosen to speak about it. In Italy, and unfortunately in all the world in general, the violence towards women is becoming a very common crime. According to statistics, 1 woman in 3 has been subjected to physical or sexual violence, and in a majority of cases from a partner or a relative. 1 out of 20 has been violated from the age of 15. 2013 was a terrible year for women in our country. 179 women were murdered, basically 1 victim every 2 days. Women who survived the violence have to carry the signs of the violence for all their lives. In India, women attacked with acid or kerosene are becoming more frequent. The stories of these women are horrible. Some of them find the courage to come forward and expose their attackers, whereas others don't, and therefore live in a constant status of fear because they are afraid of losing their children or facing the disapproval of their families. There are several organizations that give economical and psychological support to these victims, but a lot of them prefer to remain in silence instead of standing up to violence. It is extremely important to understand that violence is wrong, can never be justified, and that whoever is violent must be punished and never let off.